Hi there, this is Tata, and welcome to the Wrestling Time Post Show. For tonight, I will be reviewing all three Friday Night Smackdown, AEW Rampage, and Battle of the Belts 5. There's so much to cover. We had 4 hours of wrestling. Now, normally when I do my review, I always like to start off with AEW Rampage and then to cover SmackDown. But in this case, since Battle of the Belts just finished, I'm going to go ahead and start with Battle of the Belts, and then I'll do Rampage and then SmackDown. Okay. So Battle of the Belts 5 kicked off with the no holds barred match for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. It was the Acclaim versus Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. And I have to say, I really like the remix of the Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett theme song. So, of course, Jay Lethal and Jarrett attacked the Acclaim before the match because of Max Caster's rap. And I really like the fact that Jay Lethal and Anthony Bowens go on the ramp, and Jeff Jarrett and Max Caster are on the side. One of my first spots in this match was when Jay Lethal and Anthony Bowens rolled down the ramp as Jay Lethal had the figure 4 locked into Anthony Bowens. So it was a rolling figure 4. It was hilarious. Max Caster continuing his teasing to Jeff Jarrett. He did the Olympic slam and then the ankle lock to Jeff Jarrett, as a reference to Kurt Angle. Jay Lethal elbowing, he did an elbow drop to the referee, and the referee got taken out. Since it's a no holds bars match, there is no DQ. And then Daddy Ass took out Jay Lethal. So I'm really happy that the Acclaim ended up winning this, as they should have. There is no reason why Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal should beat the Acclaim. I know on Dynamite they technically did beat the Acclaim, but that decision was reversed, hence why we got this no holds bars match. I actually really didn't mind the match. I really didn't. I was a lot better than I was expecting, but I thought it was a great way to kick off Battle of the Belts. And another spot that I liked in the match before I proceed to the next one was Audrey Edwards. She broke Sanjay Dutt's pencil because he had put on the referee shirt and he tried to count the 1, 2, 3, and he got ejected. That was hilarious. So after this Battle of the Belts, we had a quick segment with Eddie Kingston and Ortiz, and basically they challenged House of Black to a match on Friday at Rampage. So we had the TBS Championship match. I'm gonna take off WrestleMania. Okay, I don't know how that would be possible, but okay. We have the TBS Championship match. It's Jade Cargill versus Sky Blue, and honestly, this was not a bad match. I feel like this was one of Jade's better matches. I didn't think it was gonna be a squash match, but I did think Sky Blue wasn't gonna get too much offense in, and no, she surprisingly did. Red Velvet, of course, was MIA from Jade Cargill's ringside, and then she does come out and she just stares at Jade. My favorite spot in this match was when Sky Blue did the cold blue, and then she did that knee strike. Unfortunately, Jade Cargill countered with the Jaded, and so Jade Cargill was victorious, and that brings her up to 48-0, and Jade does flip off Red Velvet. So I feel like they're setting up Red Velvet to be Jade Cargill's next opponent. Would be interesting. But where does Jade go from here? Because right now she's undefeated. But what happens after she loses? Is she just an undefeated streak? I don't think so. I think she's more than that. But I'm being very curious to see what they do with Jade after she loses. So Jade Cargill has been champion for a full year. She originally won the TBS title January 5th of last year after she beat Ruby Soho, and she's been the only TBS champion to date. So she's been champion for a whole year and a day. But what do you guys think? You guys think that Red Velvet is going to be the one to beat Jade Cargill, or are we going to bring back Chris Statlander? So the main event was the AEW All Atlantic Championship match. It was Orange Cassidy versus Kip Sabian. Honestly, I really like this. I can see why this was truly the main event. Kip Sabian was mocking Orange Cassidy throughout this whole entire match. First, Penelope Ford took Orange Cassidy's shades and she gave them to Kip Sabian. Then you had Kip Sabian like do Orange Cassidy's little kicks and that thing that he likes to do. At one point, the bunny came out, and so the bunny, Penelope Ford, and Kip Sabian all did the hug, like the best friends hug. And even Kip Sabian put on Orange Cassidy's elbow pad. But in the end, Orange Cassidy was victorious after he hit the orange punch twice to Kip Sabian. So overall, I feel like Battle of the Belts was just an episode of Rampage. I feel like you could put all these matches on Rampage, but it was called Battle of the Belts because all the titles were being defended. So I understand, but I personally just felt like it was a special episode of Rampage. So now I'm going to talk about AEW Rampage, which kicked off with an incredible tag team match. It was Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson versus Top Flight. Dante Martin attacking Jon Moxley before the start of their match. Now, I have to say, I'm really enjoying the matches between Top Flight and the BBC. I hope we continue to see more of them. So, Jon Moxley shoulder tackle Darius. I mean, there was a lot of back and forth in this. You had Dante do a dropkick to Bryan, then you had Darius do a dropkick to Bryan, and then you had Darius do a dropkick to Jon Moxley. But overall, this was a really enjoyable match. Darius doing a half and half to Bryan. He using Jon Moxley as a launch pad. That countered from the frog splash that Dante was doing to Jon Moxley, who reversed it into the hammer Annabelle elbows. Was pretty cool. But in the end, Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson were victorious here, and it was an incredible way to kick off Rampage. This was probably my favorite match of the night. Like I said, I want to see more of Top Flight in the BCC. I hope we continue to see more of that. I would not be disappointed if we got more. So we have a Hangman Adam Page promo, and basically the gist of this is that Hangman finally has the papers that he needs to be cleared. And he said that if he wasn't going to get cleared, he was going to beat Jon Moxley's ass in the parking lot if he couldn't knock Moxley out cold in the ring. The difference between Jon Moxley knocking out Hangman and Hangman's going to knock out Jon Moxley is that he wants Moxley to remember it. He wants Moxley to remember that beating. So he said, Hangman goes on to say he will put it in a clip in his entrance video. He's going to buy a billboard in Hollywood, play it on loop. We'll make him a copy on VHS. Well, he took it old school. I don't know anybody that still uses VHS. And mailed it to his house so that Moxley and the rest of the BBC can watch it in his dirty basement. So I honestly thought this was a good promo by Hangman Adam Page, and I cannot wait for them to face off. I think this is the first time since AEW was created that Jon Moxley and Hangman Adam Page face off. But it's gonna be incredible. Who are you guys rooting for? Jon Moxley or Hangman Adam Page? I don't know. I think it's gonna be a good match. I don't think it's gonna be a single match though. I think we might, depending on the finisher, there could possibly be a rematch down the road. I don't know. So I'm jumping the gun here. So then we had Dr. Britt Baker, D.M.D, and AEW Women's World Champion Jamie Hayter versus the Renegades. And this was a decent match. Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter working well together. Of course, they do have a big tag team match on Dynamite against Saraya and Toni Storm. And I really like the finish. Jamie Hayter doing a neck breaker and a low lariat, and then Britt finishing off the Renegades by doing a stomp. So it's a good finish. Like I said, it was a decent match. I liked it. And Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker worked well together. Very curious to see how their tag team match goes. I still maintain there might be a twist. I don't fully believe Toni Storm is Saraya's partner. We got Perro, Peligroso, Preston Vance versus Sonico. Well, this was just a squash match. There was nothing more to it. A squash match through and through. Perro Peligroso, Preston Vance did a spinebuster, a full Nelson, and then a lariat. Match was over. And at the end of the match, to add insult to injury, Perro Peligroso, Preston Vance rips off Sonico's mask. So in our main event was going to be for the TNT Championship. It was going to be Darby Allin versus Mike Bennett. And this match came about because after Darby Allin won the TNT title, Mike Bennett called them out after Dynamite, which they showed on Rampage. So I honestly didn't mind this match. I feel like they're not using the Kingdom as much. They should. So my favorite spot in this match was when Darby Allin did the Avalanche Cold Red to Mike Bennett, which he did followed up with a coffin drop. But prior to that, I also liked that drop kick from the top turnbuckle. Like Darby Allin had put Mike Bennett on a chair, and he did a drop kick from the top turnbuckle to Mike Bennett, who was sitting on that steel chair. That was incredible. But it was a great main event. So overall, with Rampage and Battle of the Belts, I feel like you could have just made Rampage 2 hours and put all these matches on the same card, and nobody would know it was Battle of the Belts. But overall, I thought both shows were pretty decent. So together, I'm going to rate them together. I'd say an 8 out of 10 for both shows combined. Individually, that's different, but I like both shows. But with that being said, that concludes both the AEW Rampage and Battle of the Belts. So now let's do Friday Night Smackdown. So Friday Night Smackdown kicked off the same way as Monday Night Raw with the Bloodline wreaking havoc. Now Roman came out and he said that he wanted to do things differently. He wanted to hear from Sami Zayn. And Sami Zayn basically saying that they kicked off tonight's show the same way they did Raw, putting everybody on notice, and 2023 will belong to the Bloodline. Now, this whole segment was about Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns. If you guys remember, Sami Zayn did get pinned in the match against John Cena and KO. So Roman says he doesn't want to talk about 2023. He wants to talk about what happened last year. And he mentions the loss to Cena and KO. And Roman starts to laugh because he says that some say that he lost. And he reminds people the tribal chief does not lose. Sami Zayn lost, not him. He says that Sami's shoulders were on the mat, not his. And he starts to get mad because Sami Zayn did guarantee a victory. And he mentions that the tribal chief always calls a shot and delivers. So he basically starts asking if Sami Zayn's trying to be the tribal chief, and he starts accusing him of wanting to steal his spot and of wanting to be him, and of accusing Sami Zayn of wanting to run the bloodline. Roman actually snaps and yells at Sami Zayn, and Sami Zayn is shocked. Now, here's the thing. At that instance when Roman yells at Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens comes out. And he practically saves Sami Zayn from getting yelled at. Whether that was intentional or just a pure coincidence, we'll have to wait and see. But KO comes out and is basically saying that he is a problem to Roman, and the best way to take care of that problem is to have a match at the Royal Rumble for the undisputed title. So Roman says, why can't KO just leave forever? And so it is official at the Royal Rumble. It will be Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens for the undisputed title. Then we had Kofi Kingston versus Santos Escobar, which was not a bad match. Santos Escobar was victorious after Joaquin Wilde distracted the referee, and Cruz del Toro grabbed Kingston, and Santos Escobar won with the Phantom Driver to Kingston. And honestly, it was probably safer to have Santos Escobar win over. You don't want to have him lose right away. So like that. on the main roster. Then we have Sami Zayn. He's doing a backstage segment, and he wanted to talk to Roman and explain things. But Heyman comes on and tells him that now is not the time. And like, you guys know how Jay always had a problem with Sami. So as he's walking into the locker room, he kind of looks at him with this face. Like, his face said it all. And Heyman reminds Sami Zayn that you have to stay 3 steps ahead, which on the island of relevancy. And Heyman tells Sami Zayn that he still loves him. So I thought that was a pretty hilarious thing for Heyman to say. Then we get a Liv Morgan segment, and she's basically talking about the Women's Royal Rumble and how she wants to enter number 1 and beat the crap out of all the other women that come after her. And entering last would not be ideal for her. So I don't know what's going on here with Liv Morgan. I feel like her booking has just not been good at all. And the more things change, the more they stay the same, because she randomly got paired up with Tegan Nox to form a tag team. Now it seems like she's back to being a singles competitor. I don't know what's going on here, but it's not doing Liv Morgan any favors. Like, before she got randomly paired up with Tegan Nox, she was feuding with Sonya Deville, and she was going like kind of like haywire, I think. But we never got a conclusion to that storyline. You got an LA Knight interview, and he's basically talking about how he feels good because Bray Wyatt's plans blew up in his face, and all he has to do is come in and kind of kick around Bray Wyatt's remains, and that no one's talking about Bray Wyatt's big return match. And when the lights go out, Bray Wyatt goes down. So this is probably the first time since LA Knight started feuding with Bray Wyatt that he didn't get attacked by Bray Wyatt. But I'm actually looking forward to that pitch black match. I can't wait. We get a mixed tag team match. Karrion, Kross, and Scarlett versus Madcap, Moss, and Emma. I called this. I said this was going to lead to a mixed tag match. And this wasn't bad. I mean, wasn't the best mixed tag match I've seen. I think Scarlett did okay for her in-ring debut in WWE. Of course, Karrion Kross and Scarlett win after Karrion Kross does a cross jacket to Madcap, and they put a mask and a tarot card on Madcap, which is supposed to represent Rey Mysterio. I don't know what happened with Karrion Kross's feud with Rey Mysterio. It seems like they put it on hold, but I hope we don't see another mixed tag match with them. We don't need another one after this. One was enough. One was enough, and it was an okay mixed tag match. And then you get Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. They're like in a bar somewhere. And I like that they start, like, Sheamus tells him he wanted to smash Drew McIntyre's face a little less, and then he pats him. And he pats him again, calls him an honorary brute. And Sheamus makes reference to the match at Fastlane 2021, which was a good match. And Drew McIntyre references your Donnie Brooke match, and they just keep smacking each other, which I thought was such a hilarious segment. Afterwards, you get a Charlotte promo, and it was a babyface promo. I'm surprised because I really thought that she was probably going to be a heel. Surprised. I think Charlotte works better as a heel than as a face. That's just my opinion. But she comes out and she starts asking the fans if they missed her, if they missed the queen, and she said that she misses them too. That she was away for 8 months, and whether you hate her or you love her, she's overwhelmed by the response of the WWE universe. Whether you cheer her or you boo her or you go woo, she's 3 things that she's about: passion, consistency, and dedication for what she does in the ring. And the one thing she isn't is complacent. And a champion always expects the unexpected and rises to the occasion. Of course, Sonya Deville interrupts, and you know where this goes. This leads into a match for the SmackDown Women's Championship match, which Shirley wins by submission after she spears Sonya Deville, which she follows up with a figure 4 and bridged it to a figure 8. So the match wasn't bad, but we didn't really need to see that match, but I get what they're doing. this, we get the Rumble Qualifier match. It's Ricochet versus Top Dollar. Since when do you need to qualify for the Royal Rumble? Do you guys? I hope we get backstage segments with like wrestlers picking out their numbers. I remember those when they had to go and pick out their numbers. We haven't gotten some of those in a while. So this match came about because Ricochet made fun of Top Dollar not being able to go over the top rope. Ricochet wins with the shooting star press, and at the end of the match, Top Dollar extends his hand to Ricochet and acts like he's happy that Ricochet won. Adonis attacks Ricochet, and then B-Fab kicks Ricochet to the side of the head, and basically Hit Row has turned heel tonight. And I really hope being heel works out for them. Being babyfaces really didn't work out for them, but that's because the group hasn't been the same since Isaiah Swerve Scott, who now goes by Swerve Strickland in AEW, got released and went to AEW. They need him, or they need someone that can fill that void. But like I said, hopefully being heel works out for them, because being babyfaces really didn't work out for them as much. I'm curious to see how they are as heels, but I'm not expecting much. If they were lacking something as faces, they might be lacking something as heels. But what do you guys think? What are your thoughts on Hit Row turning heel tonight? Okay. So after this, we get a Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn backstage summit, because Roman told Paul Heyman to call Sami Zayn. And Sami Zayn comes in and he starts acknowledging Roman Reigns as his tribal chief, and he isn't trying to be the tribal chief. He isn't trying to take power, and he did anything to give that impression, he apologizes. And Roman says he doesn't accept Sami Zayn's apology. So we're all like, because it's like he didn't accept the apology. So I kind of thought that tonight was the night they were going to turn on Sami Zayn. Roman says that at the end of the day, he has to control his anger, and no one deserves to be spoken to like that, especially in front of the whole world. He holds himself to a high standard. And so Roman says that the reason he doesn't accept Sami's apology is because he's the one apologizing to Sami. He apologizes to Sami for yelling at him in the ring, and Sami Zayn accepts. And Roman goes on to say that KO was right. He's mad at KO, and he took that out on poor Sami Zayn. But they will fix this. So this leads into a match next week. It's going to be Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And Roman tells Sami to take care of KO. So, very curious. I think Sami Zayn is going to lose that match. In my opinion, for the storyline to advance, Sami Zayn needs to lose that match. Sami Zayn winning here doesn't really add to the story. So, I think Sami Zayn's losing that match. And I think Roman's going to be mad at Sami Zayn. What they should have done to give me a second, guys. What they should have done to add stakes to this is, instead of making Roman versus KO official for the Royal Rumble, they should have made it that if KO beats Sami Zayn, then KO gets a match with Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble. That way there's more stakes involved, and the storyline continues even more with Sami Zayn and Roman. Imagine if they did add that stakes to this match and Sami Zayn loses. You know how furious Roman would be that now he would have to face KO because Sami couldn't get the job done? That would have made for a great story. But I do think Sami Zayn is going to lose. I don't think he's beating KO. And so after that was a tag team match, the Usos versus Sheamus and Drew McIntyre for those tag team titles. Now, Sami Zayn was going to go out and be out there with the Usos, but Roman stopped him and they watched the match together from the locker room. And it's so hilarious because throughout the match, First, you see Sami Zayn eating popcorn, then you see Heyman, and then you see Roman eating popcorn, which I thought was extremely hilarious. Give me 1 second. So, overall, I really did think the main event was good. The Usos versus Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. But as I keep saying, no matter how good the matches are, all the matches are going to be predictable. And again, I don't mind predictability because it is good. But we know from that the Usos are not losing until WrestleMania. So I'm not surprised that the Usos are victorious here. But overall, I thought it was a good SmackDown. There were a few things I didn't like the mixed tag match was okay. It wasn't too bad, but it wasn't my favorite thing on there. And I also wasn't a huge fan of the Charlotte versus Sonya Deville match. So, but I thought it was a decent SmackDown. But with that being said, I would give SmackDown and probably also 8 out of 10. It had some good stuff. But with that being said, you guys, thank you guys all so much for watching and for the continuous support. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever I go live or release a new video. And I will see you guys Monday, live after Raw. Bye.